Hello everybody, this is Timber the Alicorn, and in today's video, I will be reading not a funny fanfiction, but a scary fanfiction. This one is supposed to be based on like an Edgar Allan Poe story, which I am really an average fan of Edgar Allan Poe. He does have good, creepy, unsettling stories. So this one is called The Curse of Appletillado. It's supposed to be like the story of the Cask of Appletillado, but it's like the cask of the Appletillado. So, we were going to read it and crap our pants. Let's begin. The 1,000 injuries of Rarity I had borne as best I could, but when she ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. Like I said, it's similar to Edgar Allan Poe. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you called me Applejack. I don't think even upper crust himself has ever tasted real Appletillado. Yeah, well, I knew the only someone with your refined taste would appreciate a Rarity. The two ponies headed down another flight of stairs and deeper into the apple cider vaults. Torches lit earlier shined brightly in the darkness to illuminate their path. Their heat masked the cold from the snow just above. Rarity cast her eyes up sadly. The damp was already beginning to remain, causing it to droop slightly. Oh well, a small sacrifice for as fine a drink as real Appletillado. When Applejack had told her, she rushed over as quickly as she could. For heaven's sake, she hadn't even brought a hat. A decision hat was haunting her now. Applejack, would you mind terribly if I ran back to the boutique, my maid? Shoot, Rarity, I'd forgotten. Sure, go ahead and run off. Besides, I should really have someone else taste it first, just to make sure I wouldn't want to get you all excited unless it was real Appletillado. Maybe Rainbow-Dash. She knows her ciders pretty well. Rarity raised her nose. Rainbow-Dash couldn't tell a Merlot from a bottle of Maine straightener. Let's continue. Like I said, it's just like the cast of Appletillado, or whatever. You get what I mean. Whatever you say. They continued on a while, their only company, the clopping of their hooves echoing on the walls. They passed a relatively new section of wall, but Rarity paid it no mind. Mason work had never impressed her. Rarity again broke the silence. Applejack, I don't mean to pry. By all means, pry away, the orange earth pony replied, not bothering to stop or turn her head. Well, how do you know it's an Appletillado? It's extremely rare, you know. You've mentioned, from what I understand, Granny Smith acquired it years ago and just forgot about it. Ah, Granny Smith. I'm so sorry that I missed the funeral. Aw, poor Granny Smith. Think nothing of it. I know how busy you can be, Ponyville's premier seamstress and all. Be that as it may, I should have at least. Anyway, I read about the cask in her will. I figured you and I could share a glass and decide what to do with the rest. Oh, Rarity's mind spun at the possibilities with the cask of real Appletillado. She could really secure a spot of Camelot's elite. She'd be literal toast of the town. Immediately, she began formulating exactly how drunk she would have to get the young farmer to purchase the entire cask. Hopefully not too drunk. Appletillado was dreadfully scarce. This is just like the Edgar Allan Poe story. And I really love the story. I really love this story. This is a good story so far. She hadn't been thinking long when Applejack stopped suddenly. Rarity looked past her and saw an enclosure built into the wall. It went too deep into the darkness to see very far inside. If there was a barrel of anything in there, she would have to be closer to inspect it. Just in there, Applejack motioned with her head into the alcove. Sorry. Well, all right then. Let's have a look. Shaking off the uneasiness, Rarity walked past Applejack and into the alcove, lightening her horn to light the way. Once in the alcove, she narrowed her eyes in confusion. The alcove was just deep enough to her to get all the way in. The ceiling was just high enough that it didn't touch her mane. There was no cask of anything here, just a bare wall. The light from her horn glinted off of something. Are those chains? Yes, they are. Hoo-hoo! Here comes the good part! Applejack's voice was right behind her. The alabaster unicorn spun just in time to see the back hooves of the element of honesty bucking straight into her forehead. Oh, this is scary! Woo! Okay. The low scraping sound slowly seeped its way into her mind. The darkness gave way to colors, first blurred, then crystal clear. A dull pain thudded in her forehead, and she reached up, feeling the jagged edge of her broken horn. My horn! She muttered groggily. Yeah, sorry about that, but I couldn't have you magicking your way out then, could I? As her vision cleared, Rarity focused on Applejack. The scraping sound she heard had been the scrape of a trowel Applejack was using to lay mortar and bricks along the alcove entrance. The young farmer was working hard, her coat already slick with sweat. The new wall was 4 stacks high, and soon the 5th would be done. Applejack, what are you doing? You had a bit too much to drink. It had a little more kick than you were expecting, I imagine. I've been trying to talk you into leaving, but you'll have none of it. So I'll just have to leave you. But I don't want to stay here. Rarity was still quite groggy and not sure what was going on. Here, I'll leave. The unicorn stood wobbly and tried to move past the wall, but found herself unable to continue. Something was holding her back. She turned her head slowly and found chains tied down to her midsection. The chains were attached to the wall. The wheels began to turn more quickly in Rarity's head. She began to hyperventilate. Everything suddenly became shockingly clear, as did the sharp pain where her horn was supposed to be. There you go. I was wondering how long it would take you to catch on. But Applejack, why? Why? For just a moment she turned from her work and gazed coldly into Rarity's eyes. The trowel moved to corner her mouth. I've had to put up with your little jabs and insults for years, Rarity. Insults about my unbraining up my lifestyle, even about my family. Playful jests and nothing more. Hardly a reason to wall me up in the cider cellar. For Celestia's sake, Applejack, let me loose. Maybe they were just playful jests to you, but what you did to Big Macintosh was anything but playful. Rarity's mouth dropped. He told you? Not directly, no. Applejack returned to work, now laying the 6th layer, but he left it all in the note. Note? His suicide note. Whoa! The stunned silence that followed lasted until Applejack began on the 7th layer. She made sure to leave a single brick out of place. When did it happen? Rarity's voice was a whisper. 3 days ago. It's a miracle that the rafters in the barn didn't break from the great mass hanging from him. Applejack, why didn't you tell any pony? The orange pony snored. Air out dirty laundry to the masses? No, thank you. This is a family matter. What? What did he say? What did he say happened? He pretty much laid everything out. Didn't leave much room for doubt. After I read it, I knew what had to be done. For a second time, Applejack paused, her eyebrows in genuine interest. Why, Rarity? Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? It wasn't anything. Rarity cast her eyes down. He was drunk, I was drunk. Is that what you told him? That you would have to be drunk to be with some pony like him? No! Well, not in those exact words. Applejack stood her head and resumed her work. The 7th layer was soon complete. Help! Rarity screamed at the top of her lungs. Some pony, please help! No pony can hear you, so save your breath. Snow's too deep. By the time winter wrap-up rolls around, you probably won't have strength enough to even scream. This isn't fair, Applejack. How was I supposed to know he'd take it so badly? We just lost Granny Smith. We don't have a lot family to begin with, and you took advantage of him at his lowest. I know you're grief-stricken, dear, but Macintosh is hardly blameless in all of this. He fell for you, you hussy! Is that a bad word? I don't know. Applejack paused halfway through the 8th layer. She snored in anger. He thought he'd finally found somebody who cared. Some pony who would take care of him in times of need. And you just shut him down completely. Didn't even let him down softly. Some element of generosity you are. This is messed up, man. We all have moments of weakness. It was Macintosh's own fault that he fell for me. Ooh, vain till the end. Figures. Shaking her head sadly. Applejack resumed working. How do you plan on explaining this to the others? To Sweetie Belle? Rarity did her best to keep the panic out of her voice. She was failing miserably. Don't you worry, you're pretty low ahead about that. Wrote a nice long letter explaining how you and Macintosh eloped and set out to find your new home. After that, everyone will just assume that you both are happy to even bother with your friends back home. As a Sweet Belle, I'm sure she'll be fine. Rarity sniffed inaudibly. I cannot read. I'm sorry. Nothing that only 2 layers of bricks remain. Her time was running out. Alright, Applejack, this has gone far enough. Your attempts at humor are quite morbid. I have to admit, come let us retire to the farmhouse and get this whole business sell like civilized ponies. Oh, I don't know, Applejack replied, starting to work on the final layer. I think we're selling just fine right here. The coolness and certainty in Applejack's voice finally caused Rarity's mind to snap completely. She lunged at the wall and scraped it as a rat would scratch at a trap. For the love of Celestia, Applejack! Yes, for the love of Celestia. Ah ha ha! I love that. Okay, anyway, Applejack returned, placing the last brick in the top row, and for the love of family. The wall was completed. All that remained was the final brick, and the alcove would be sealed for all time. Applejack peered into the hole into the darkness. Rarity? The only response was the clopping of hooves, as though they were dancing. Shaking her head, the earth pony laid the mortar and placed the final stone in its place. Silence. Applejack breathed deep and reached a hoof up, using her hat and wiped her brow free from sweat, and re-hid the remaining mortar and bricks. She reached down and grabbed the broken stub that had been a unicorn's horn in her mouth. She reached up as high as she could go and placed it on a little outcropping of brick. It was the only marker Rarity would have. The only one she deserved. Her need for vengeance sated, Applejack headed back upstairs, dousing the torches as she went. No pony never came down this deep. No pony would ever know. She glanced sideways at the other newly constructed wall, the one that Rarity had passed without a second thought. Hanging from it was a harness she knew well. "Rest easy, brother," she whispered. Without another word, she resumed the trek back up into the unforgiving cold of winter. For the half of a century, no pony had disturbed her in pace of requincast. And that is the end. So it was basically like the Cask of Appletillado, but in Edgar Allan Poe's story, it's a little bit more different. This one's the Smile Pony version, and it's still as scary as the Cask of Appletillado. And I must say, it's spooky. I love it. Not bad. So anyway, guys, that's the fanfiction reading for today. I hope you enjoyed. Please follow my Twitter and Equestrian Mino. And Timber is out.